What's good, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony, aka Descendant of Chaos and Controversy. And so, if you thought that the individual who I've been following since practically from day one, who is very unapologetic when he puts the things on the table and exposes the fuckery for what it is, you have to entertain the African diaspora with Uncle Phil, because the link that I'm gonna leave in the comment section of this video and the thumbnail that I'm gonna have, that is gonna be hopefully an attention grabber to direct you to this channel. Uncle Phil was not playing around. Sometimes you have to separate yourself from the allegiance that you were sworn to just because again, as I stated before, if you feel obligated to represent a party that doesn't represent you, doesn't have your best interests at heart, only recognizes you when it benefits them, that is not the party for you. Okay? I know under certain platforms, and one of the things that, since I was cut short off of my other video, when it comes to my channel, I don't care about how many followers I have. I don't care about not being endorsed to get paid to say what I say. It's me doing this because I choose to, with no strings attached. Nobody's pulling my strings. Nobody's giving me something on the table which I have to read. Okay. Just make sure my check is deposited. All right. I have the freedoms and the liberty to an extent. Because yes, of course, the reality is when you create your platform with your content, you still gotta abide by and conform to the rules that, like, YouTube has in place, with certain things you can and cannot discuss. But it is what it is for the time being. Okay? But censorship is something that does make you question your right to the First Amendment. You know, freedom of speech. How much of that we are entitled to until the censorship comes into play and what we say is controlled by the masses. Because, of course, people want to control the information as much as they can without appearing to be so tyrannical. To say, you do have freedoms to an extent. You can say this, however, if you criticize certain or particular individuals, there might be a slight chance of consequences and repercussions upon doing so. It's funny, I was watching a thing where Trevor Noah was roasting the president, and he made it a point to say, you know, it is great to be within the country where you could crack jokes about the president, criticize the president, and not go to jail. And then they said, I'm not going to jail, right? You know, just to be sure. And yes, it was said with a humorous, you know, jab towards the president, but how near are we to that in all reality? Is what I'm saying. A lot of attention is drawn to the situation that happened in Buffalo, New York. And I was watching another news clip. I think it was an independent news channel that was interviewing a lot of people that was speaking on the incident. And these individuals are the ones that I criticize Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro and others in their little clique, their little group of supposed conservatives. And I label them as the disregarded. The disregarded in the sense whereas when black people are vilified through the generalized lens coming from the rhetoric of these individuals, it disregards the ones that go to work, maybe work 2 jobs, maybe have successes as being their own entrepreneurs, do have a nuclear family household, care about their loved ones, like their parents or their grandparents, are tax-paying citizens, don't entertain the nonsense, but yet, whether it's them being affected by the criminal activity and the gang violence within their community, and they try to move away from it, only to face discrimination in other areas that certain people within their clique say doesn't exist. It's all made up. As I've said, using the example of my father and my mom adopted me, a biracial individual. Okay? They busted their ass. Mom from Atlanta, Georgia. Father from North Carolina. They grew up in a racist time. They've dealt with racism moving out of those areas up north to Connecticut. On a different level, but racist yet and still. Living in a predominant white neighborhood. We were the first and only black people that moved to Cheshire Street in Hartford, Connecticut on the south end of Hartford. Okay? Ooh, the police got called on my family. There's some niggas moving into the neighborhood. And a house with an in-ground pool. Father told me that when I brought up the story about what I remember when they moved to Colchester, Connecticut, to move out of the city, away from the gang violence, into another predominant, more so setting as far as the town goes, where we were one of the few black people that actually lived in that town. And again, the same shit happened. There's a suspicious person in the neighborhood, and my father's on his own property. And you had the town police and Troop K coming barreling down the driveway. And then when my father, within his right, questioned, what's this all about? We had to call it, there was a suspicious person in the neighborhood. What's suspicious to you? Oh, I'll answer that for you. You got to call it, there was a nigga in the neighborhood. And what is he doing here? And my father said point blank, whoever called, you can go back and tell them that I'm their neighbor. I have money. I've busted my ass and worked hard all my life to be able to enjoy and be, I don't want to say entitled, but have the rights to live in the comfort of my own home in a what I believe to be a safe environment. But you let a Brandon Tatum and the Candace Owens, oh, that shit don't happen. Black folks exaggerated. It don't matter where you are. You are going to face prejudice, racism, and discrimination despite where you're at. And I use my parents as a prime example of that. So you can't discount and disregard people who I grew up with my whole life to see this shit with my very own eyes. So with that being said, fuck y'all motherfuckers. Because you won't have the balls to fucking come under my comment section, because I know y'all monitor this shit, to even respond. But you'll send a fucking bootleg number saying message me and contact me under here. No. I'll give you my personal number and you can contact me. I'm not hiding behind shit. I don't do that. I got bigger balls than that. You don't believe me? I done so when I had to deal with individuals who misunderstood my content when I was speaking in regards to the situation with Kevin Samuels about a year ago. And of course, I had to clarify my standpoint. But to get to Uncle Phil going off, he was critically constructive in addressing the black community in regards to their allegiance to the Democratic Party. And the thing about Joe Biden, he made the comparison with the anti-Asian hate crime, whatever bill, and how there was a hotline or something set up, like if you feel like you're being targeted and stuff, call us, whatever. I don't know how far in history in this country that Asians have been dealing with whatever shit that they've been dealing with, but I know for black people, since we've been brought here to this establishment, helped build this establishment, been subjected to the bullshit of this establishment, and it never stopped. It just went on a continuum with some altercations, or not altercations, alterations, some adjustments. I know that there is, and here's the thing that I don't get. Here's the thing that I don't get. And I'm just saying this to be fair. Regardless if the opinions, the criticism, or whatever against Donald Trump was validated for whatever reason, for him to be under the attack that he was, there was no censorship in regards to Donald Trump. But when it comes to the criticism of Joe Biden, which very much there's validation to the shit prior to him coming into office and currently. You gotta wonder if the content that you make in regards to Joe Biden is gonna target your account, have the videos taken down, censor your content, restrict you from anything further to be said about Joe Biden. But this is America, right? I see things as what's being right, and I see things as far as what's being wrong. But somehow, if it don't fit particular narratives, you can't speak on it. If you're not pro-police and you speak on where they're wrong in their existence, and here's the thing, when I say these motherfuckers traded in their robes and their hoods for the badge and the gun, there is white supremacy within law enforcement depending on the demographics that you are in. There's been proof where they go into these people's accounts, their social media, whatever, accounts and shit, and you see all the rhetoric that they done found. So when you get an ex-officer, Brandon Tatum, that want to tell you or mislead you and say, oh, no, 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 no. He never talks about the motherfuckers that make the law enforcement, whatever, look bad. But he's quick to gaslight. He's quick to deflect from. But when you challenge that, see, I can respect a person more if they acknowledge things. But when you are completely, conveniently dismissive of, intentionally, but want to tell somebody else that they're full of shit. How's the pot calling the kettle black? Saying that you'll be quick to say, and even though you might be right, what's the Democratic Party or what's Joe Biden doing for the black people? And then you're laughing at the situation. Nothing. What are you doing? While you sitting there laughing it up, you ain't doing nothing your damn self neither. But being critical of the black community as a whole, not dissecting the problematic areas. Because when you point out the problematic areas, you're throwing everybody into the equation. When I'm critical of either black folks or white folks, I'm targeting specific people. And then I make sure to say, hey, I'm not speaking of all white people, because I know there are people that have fought against this. I know there are people who are disgusted by this. I'm aware there are people that went out their way and sacrificed themselves on the betterment of us elevating in a society that excluded us. I acknowledge that with fairness. But to address those that are problematic, why is all the energy is invested in hushing and silencing people, and then you sit there and wonder why the Aryan Brotherhood, the KKK, the neo-Nazis, those within law enforcement, white supremacists, white nationalists, still exist. And then here's the further question. Why isn't there an anti-African or black or Negro hate bill? And Uncle Phil kind of touched upon that, but it was something that I wanted to speak on about 2 videos ago. I tell you why there isn't, because if they were to put out such a thing, that means law enforcement will be walking on eggshells more so than they are now in regards to how they engage us. That means that all the laws and the systems put in place would have to go through a serious overhaul and instant reconstruction. Because as I said before, when these laws were created and designed, it was to benefit one group and cause, how should I say, a discomfort to us. When you see how history has progressed, and when I talk about the alterations and the adjustments, the example is when I pointed out why slavery doesn't exist, why you can't have black folks on plantations, and how things have evolved from having a plantation to a prison, slaves to inmates. Prime example, if you were a free slave and you was caught without a job, that was against the law. Who created that law? Who created the law? It sure wasn't a black person. Unless Brandon Tatum was alive back then. Yeah, I'm being arrogant right now. I am, intentionally. because they know that they had to create such a bill to preserve our existence where we're not endangered by the fuckery of the system in which they created that we are subjected to, then that means that they have to acknowledge how fucked up they are. And you know, they're sticking with the no accountability script. But cool to vilify us, cool to demonize us, dehumanize us, scapegoat us. And if you acknowledge and recognize that, then they'll say, stop with the victimhood mentality. Stop with the mental fuckery. Because people are already hip to it. They're already being enlightened by the bullshit. They recognize the script and how it's played out. You're going to have to tear that whole playbook up and come up with something new. Because I'm sorry, that motherfucker's getting tossed into the fucking burning barrel. It is to no surprise to those that, actually pay attention that, and Uncle Phil talked about sloganisms because that's all the Democratic Party is good for. Ricky Mann already talked about how they don't give us tangibles. They just I can't say token. They just, how should I put it? They present us with shit that isn't beneficial to us. Giving us a holiday, giving us this, whatever. Nothing really solid that's put on the books. But again, you gotta understand, we didn't create the chessboard. We are just the pieces that are put on it. I mean, after all, they did bring us here. I I don't. I know there was another incident that that happened where another white supremacist went on the attack on a public transportation, nonetheless, on a bus. And the same question that was proposed was the same question I had in mind upon viewing this video as it was being seen. Like, where were the people to come to this individual's aid when this white supremacist choked this woman out and killed her? And then everybody sat there and said, people are so fucking soft on crime and stuff like that, and they're letting the wrong people out. And of course, that was only looked upon when you wanted to talk about black people. But here you got this white person that they said should have never been let out of jail as well. But that story flew up under the radar. Coincidence? There was another point that I wanted to touch upon that I had, because like I said, my mind be racing. It's funny how when you look at the events, those that are the active individuals, the actors, so to speak, in the scenario. It amazes me how, when it comes to these people who don't like black folks, can come to either their home, put a fucking burning cross on it, fucking shoot Molotov cocktails, burn them out, terrorize them, drag them out, beat the husband, rape the wife, If the kids escape, then, you know, but if not, kill the kids and kill the parents. Hang them up, string them up, whatever. Move from that, put on a different uniform, still continue to terrorize, shoot them down, be protected by qualified immunity, this, that, and everything else. Come into your environment and fuck you over. Or you have these little up and coming, whatever, radicalized racist individuals that go out their way to come to certain towns, go to certain churches or whatever, and just go on a mass shooting spree with intended targets in mind. But yet, you don't hear about black people forming a group, going to white people, pulling them out their fucking homes, stringing them up, having a fucking black power fist that's burning, blazing like the fucking Infinity Gauntlet and shit, shooting up the kids, raping the woman, stringing the father up. You don't hear stories like that. But yet, the time that you do hear of us being is when you hear of activists that are coming together and saying, hey, we're going to unify and stand against these people that are a threat to us, that are coming to us, that are terrorizing us, that have the hatred and the intent to harm us and eradicate us. But that grabs the attention of the FBI and the CIA. And then we become targets. And then the leaders get taken out. But yet, you got these motherfuckers that can have like these fucking camps and now got schools now where they're teaching kids how to fucking shoot fucking rifles and all this other stuff. But all that happens to them is the FBI just sit like this on their monitors and like, okay, duly noted. We'll keep them in mind. We gotta wait until something happens, like they do with domestic, like they do with domestic case situations. Well, we can't really do nothing until something happens. And that's the same shit with law enforcement. We can't do anything until something happens. But and invest all your energy in fucking with people that ain't a threat to nobody. Ain't doing shit, ain't armed, ain't doing nothing. All they give you is a little lip, and that's enough reason to just beat shit out of them, shoot them, tase them, whatever the fuck, and haul them off to jail. Because you don't like what comes out of their fucking mouth. But yeah, you can cuss them all out to high hell. Say all kinds of ridiculous and reckless shit to them. No accountability, no breach of peace, right? And that's why I made a statement, what I said when somebody fucking got offended by it. When I said, well, damn, why don't we all just become law enforcement? That way there's no consequences to our actions. Oh, they didn't like that statement. But where's the lie? Also, the one thing I did say years ago when I had this discussion about the gang violence, and I said this. Ironically, when it comes to the black on black crime, whatever gang entity out there, whether it's the Bloods, the Crips, the Latin Kings, the Los Solitos, the Solids, or whatever, and the chapters that follow, you're good at targeting your own people. But whenever incidences like this, when it comes to white supremacy, where the fuck are y'all at? Y'all never gang up, get real mad, and have that same energy to go fuck off these white people that are fucking a problem to us. But instead, you guys are fucking also an issue and a problem to us. Even though y'all target each other and shit like that, rival gang wars, but still, there's still collateral damage. How come y'all don't utilize that same energy to fight these white supremacists? I just want to know that. Yeah, this was a lot to unwrap. Yeah, I had a lot on my fucking mind. Yeah, excuse my fucking venting and ranting. Seems like I need a refill. Anyway, that's all I got for now. I wasn't cut short this time. But please tell me what you think. I'm going to leave a link in the comment section to Uncle Phil going off on Joe Biden, man. He was 100% hit the nail on the fucking head in everything he said. And he wasn't wrong. But leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you think. And until next time, until next video, peace.